Welcome, everybody, to the High Performance Legal Entrepreneur Series. My name is Adam Arkfeld. I'm your host. I'm the owner of Prevail Legal Marketing. And today we are interviewing Sachin Bakhai. He's the founder and CEO of LawKPIs. LawKPIs keeps you focused on the most important drivers of your law firm's profitability, from billings to collections, from practice areas to attorney utilization. LawKPIs is where leading law firms turn for answers. Sachin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Adam. I'm glad to be on the show.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here.
Yeah.
To get the conversation kicked off, I was doing a little research on your background, and it looks as though you have some development background and maybe a history in technology. Can you just talk a little bit about how you personally got started, just in your entrepreneurial journey, and kind of got you here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to work for Oracle, and we used to implement Oracle ERP and data analytics for like Fortune 1000 companies. And then I started to, after several years, we decided to build a solution for small and mid-size firms. So law firms was not a first product. The first product is Easylytics, that we do it for manufacturing and distribution companies. And then one of my manufacturing client, his law firm was struggling, and they approached us, and we helped them build certain dashboards and KPIs. They happened to use a solution called Clio, and that's how this product was born. So we don't come from the legal industry, but we have a lot of experience in building analytic solutions for various different industries. So we are more of an outsider. And what we do is we work with several law firms, and based on their requirements, we actually build certain KPIs. So it's kind of a peer sourcing. So what we build for a law firm, we actually offer it to other law firms also, so they can take advantage of what somebody else is thinking. So through peer sourcing, we actually continue to add additional reports and to our dashboards.
Yeah, that's that benefit of being specialized in an industry where when if you're fractured across a lot of industries, people adding KPIs may not be relevant to another industry, another client.
Right.
But when you're all in one industry, and that's why I love specialization so much. And I think it sounds like you took a similar path as I took. I have another company called Paracore, which offers paid media services to all types of businesses. And then we started working with a lot more attorneys, and so I created Prevail Legal Marketing.
Right.
Is that a similar path that you took?
It is exactly the same thing. So we initially, first few of our clients were actually on the Easylytics platform, and then we started to get a lot of traction. So we decided, okay, this name does not make sense, may not resonate. So we came up with LawKPIs. So the advantage is we're still using the same robust platform that we built for manufacturing and distribution companies, but we just do it now focused for the legal industry.
Let me take a
and even if like a small to mid-sized legal firm, right? Everybody has data in so many different applications. It's hard to integrate or make all these applications talk. And that is the reason why we exist. Is we want to make sure that we take data from your legal management system, your CRM system, Google Analytics. We take data from QuickBooks, bring it all together so that they can look at a single source of truth for all the information that they need to run their law firm.
Have you ever taken this vertical specific approach before, or is this the first time with law?
No, this is the first time with law. Which we do it for manufacturing and distribution. That is a vertical, but we doing this first time with law. And after seeing what we have done with law, actually several medical practices, they have reached out to us to see if we can build something for the medical practice. So that is, I think, phase two. Right now, we're not focusing and we're just focusing on law. But this is something that we are thinking in our the back of our mind to build something for the medical practice also.
Yeah, and I really think this concept applies to every business and
Right.
attorneys in particular as well, because if now in the marketing world we have full service agencies that offer everything. They offer branding, they offer website development, PR, and then pay-per-click. And we've taken the approach of just doing pay-per-click in the legal industry. So if someone's going to work with us, we're solving a very specific need.
Right.
And the same with you. I would not have reached out to you, or no, you reached out to me. Your Roman would not have reached out to me had he not seen we were in the legal industry, probably,
Right.
because we would have just been a pay-per-click company. And
Right.
so even this conversation would not have come to fruition had you not specialized in legal and I not specialized in legal. And
Yeah,
I think the same thing is important for attorneys, because if someone's coming to their firm and they're looking for a divorce attorney, but they're seeing bankruptcy and immigration and a lot of other things, sometimes they might not want that. It may not seem as specialized.
right. And actually, so a lot of times, right, we notice that the attorney on their websites, they have like, 6, 7 different practice areas. But when we look at the data, about like 90% of their business actually comes from just one practice. And
Hmm.
we kind of go back to them saying that if this is where you're 90%, why are you even wasting time focusing on other practices, right? Just get specialized in this one practice. That way it just makes it easier for them to get referrals also, because if they're thinking of a divorce attorney in Dallas, I know whom to call.
Yeah.
So but that so now looking at our KPIs, it's kind of actually making more sense to them, seeing the numbers, saying that, okay, you know what, we are unnecessary putting a lot of effort in other areas, but we are getting everything from just one practice area.
I want to spend more time on the KPIs, but first I want to go back. You started with Oracle, you were with Oracle, and then you said you decided to start your own. Is that when you started Easylytics? And what was
No,
the
so after I left Oracle, I had my own consulting company. We did the exact same thing. We implemented Oracle ERP and Oracle Analytics, but those clients were like Fortune 1000 companies, and the average contract would be anywhere from like $5 to $7 million. So we were too small to handle that individually. So we would partner with companies like Deloitte and Hitachi's of the world, where we would take care of the analytics portion of the entire engagement and they would do the rest. So I did that for about like 10 years. And then I started Easylytics about like 5 years ago, focusing on mid-market.
and what was the driver behind you doing that? Why did you decide to take that route?
Well, one thing I noticed was that mid-market also has the exact same problem that large organizations have. They have a lot of data, and they were not able to actually take advantage of it. But the thing is, they don't have that big of a budget like large organizations do in terms of having an own analytics team. So Easylytics is basically managed analytics as a service. So it's a done for you analytics for them. So they don't even have to need an IT team. We actually do the whole thing for them. So the way we have designed a solution, we can typically get a manufacturing or distribution company up and running in about a month, versus if they were to do it themselves, it could take anywhere from like 6 to 8 months in building the entire solution.
And what type of data sources do you typically pull from?
For the legal industry, or
Yeah, let's talk about legal. Yeah,
yeah.
for law KPIs. Yeah.
So for LawKPIs, we get it from the legal management system, Clio. We are working on integration with Practice Panther and Rocket Matter. The key is a lot of these cloud solutions, they don't have the APIs fully developed. So Clio is one of the leading ones that we found, where they have a lot of APIs that we can actually pretty much access any data within Clio. So another application we integrate with is QuickBooks. We integrate with Lawmatics, which is a CRM. We integrate with HubSpot. So end of the day, if any application, if they have an open APIs for us to integrate with, we can integrate with that application and get the data.
So the journey for an attorney, they're listening to the podcast, they hear what we're talking about, and they say, "That sounds interesting. I would love to have more clarity into my data." They go to your website, they sign up, they probably have a call or a demo of some sort. When they are onboarding, do you typically give them a default dashboard? What is that onboarding process? Because when I kind of think about analytics, and I'm a data guy, I went to school for computer science. It's a little bit overwhelming with all the
Right.
different platforms. So, what does that onboarding process look like?
That's a great question. So what we noticed was that attorneys are very busy. So they don't really have a lot of time to spend with us and giving us the requirements. So what we did was, all we need is access to their system. So all they do is they give us their username, password, and we connect to their system, and we retrofit all the data into our data model. So we have about like 35 plus reports and dashboards that we have built for them. So all those reports will come to life with their data in about like a 3-day period. And all our reports are self-service. So for example, if you're looking at profitability for the firm, now if you want to look at it further and narrow it down, say, okay, instead of a firm, I want to look at it by practice. So they have an option to run it by practice. If they want to look at by employee, they can run it by employee. So this is all self-service, so they don't have to come to us. If it's as easy as using a browser. And what we have also done is we have added like a reset functionality. So if they don't know what they did, just hit the reset button, it takes them back to default. So we do all the heavy lifting for the attorneys so that they can hit the ground running within in a 3-day period.
And so, what are some of the KPIs that attorneys tend to find the most valuable? And what are insights that you've seen in attorney dashboards with some of your um, higher performing attorneys? What are some case studies that before we started working with law KPIs, whatever, we didn't know anything, and then now we saw these couple metrics and we started making changes. Like, what does that sometimes look like?
So one of the key areas is the utilization, right? So a lot of times the attorneys, they're working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, but they're actually billing only like 3.5 to 4 hours a day. So they're spending a lot of time in doing other non-bill kind of work. So what we encourage our attorneys to do, because right now most of them are doing is either the bill or the non-bill, but how they're spending their non-bill time, they're not capturing it. So we work with them to say, okay, you know what, create your non-bill into at least 3 or 4 different broad categories. Like, it is an admin work, it is business development work, at a networking lunch. So that exactly where you're spending your non-bill time and what is the return on investment on those non-bill time. Another area example is, we see a lot of times attorneys who work on based on retainers. They continue to work on retainers, they bill against the retainers, but they have no visibility when the retainer is getting exhausted. So if the retainer gets exhausted, by law, they still have to continue to work on it. And the client decides not to pay, they have to write off. So using our solution, they can significantly reduce their write-offs, because we can create thresholds saying that, okay, if you have exhausted 80% of your retainer, it notifies the attorney, okay, you reach out to your client. So it significantly reduces the write-offs. And a lot of times we work with marketing agencies, companies like yourself, where we would create dashboards to see, okay, how the things that you're spending on your pay-per-click, how it is tying it back, how many actually matters you are actually having, what is the ROI on that pay-per-click. So we try to tie that data back to their legal management system.
With the different systems that you work with, are there some that you feel like are better than others, just based on their APIs or the way that they aggregate data? You mentioned Clio. Clio is a huge one, obviously. But which would you recommend if an attorney came to you and said, "Hey, I'm looking for some practice management systems"? What would you say from your perspective?
From my perspective, I think I would recommend Clio. One reason is they're significantly involving in upgrading their solution, and they're not very narrow-minded, right? They're actually opening up their solution so that other third-party applications can integrate with, and so they're building a very strong ecosystem around their application. So then in the future, no matter what third-party application you buy, it will work with Clio. So you don't have to struggle. So I personally like Clio. Others are still catching up. So they don't have expose everything in their system. So there's a limitation in stuff that they expose. Another thing it is very important is to identify how much flexibility they have in capturing custom information. So as long as this legal management system allows you to capture additional custom information in there, that makes it a little bit more flexible.
What would be an example of custom information that helps you guys out?
So to give you an example, a lot of, like, when you have a flat fee engagement, flat fee matter. So when you have a flat fee matter, most of the applications you bill against that flat fee. Since it's a flat fee, it's going to go as non-bill, right? So how do you know whether you're making a profit on this specific flat fee matter or not, right? So we encourage our clients to capture the allowable hours against that flat fee matter. So let's say if you came up with a flat fee for like $10,000 and the allowable hours were like 10 hours that you want to spend on this thing. So we track their non-bill hours billed against the allowable hours, which is in the custom field, to see whether they're going to make money. Is this matter profitable or not? This also gives them, if they look at the historical data, it gives them the knowledge to see the price that they are going for the flat fee. Does it make sense? Do they need to increase their price because they end up spending a lot more than they actually bill them, so that the flat fee matter could be more profitable?
Got it. I want to switch gears just a little bit. I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that it says you're a trusted advisor of Vistage. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Does that mean you're well, why don't you just explain what Vistage is if someone's not familiar with it?
Yeah, so Vistage is a peer-to-peer, peer-to group. So they have three different levels. So I'm part of the trusted advisory group. So there are about 15 of us from various different industry in our group. And that kind of helps, we help each other in terms of, if we have any issue that we need to process, or if we share leads within that group, or anything that helps that company grow, is that what we do. So it's a great, I've been with Vistage for almost like 4 years now, and this is a great network platform. So
Yeah. Have I've been a member of Entrepreneurs Organization. Are you
yeah,
familiar with that? Yeah. So I've
yes,
been a
yeah,
member with
yeah.
them for quite a long time. And it's been a lot of value. It's added a ton of value to me as a business owner, just having other people around. Have you done other organizations like Vistage? Is it the first one? And what sort of value do you feel like you've gotten out of a group like that?
So I have not. Vistage was the only one, and since I liked it, I kind of stuck with Vistage. And the biggest thing is, like, I have like a sounding board, right? So if I have an issue, I have like a sounding board, and I'm confident that the advice that they're gonna give me is in the best interest for me. So, and it's not just because we have folks from marketing, banking, we have a legal person in there, we have an IT guy, so we have management consultants. So, having all the different variety of businesses and different backgrounds just makes it very easier, and the ideas that sometimes that they come up with are phenomenal, that you probably won't think of it. So when we discuss or talk about an issue, they're like 15 brains working for you rather than just you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing people in different industries at a similar type of business level, the types of feedback they can provide and the different perspectives that they have. And you're right, it's kind of a trusted group. I mean, I know in EO, I can say pretty much anything, and it's a safe space
Right.
where it's not going to bite me later on or something like that.
And we have a couple of members in our Vistage group. Uh, Either they were part of EO or they are actually in EO as well.
Yeah, yeah, I know there's a decent amount of crossover between the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Although there's a healthy competition between the organizations. Um, and you have a couple partners as well in the business, is that right? A couple co-founders?
Yeah, so I have a co-founder. One of the co-founders is based in India, so he
Okay.
manages the entire the delivery and the customer support for both our products, for LawKPIs and for Easylytics. So when I dissolved my Blink Consulting, my consulting firm, so what I did was I rehired some of the folks from my consulting firm back into Easylytics. So I've been working with my team for over a decade. So there's a huge amount of trust already built in. Uh, and so
Yep.
yes, I don't have to worry about the delivery part. My co-founder takes care of that.
Yeah. So a lot of the fulfillment is done out of India. Is that right?
Yeah, all the development and is done out of India. Again, we don't host anything. Everything is on Amazon Cloud, and we just focus on US and Canada for now. So the data is physically in the US soil, but that's why we cannot offer our solution to companies, to law firms in Europe. A lot of them reach out to us, but just because of the data privacy laws, we haven't opened up a solution for anybody outside US and Canada.
Yeah. And how has it been just having a business partner? Is it I've had business partners in the past. I bought both of them out. It wasn't bad necessarily, but it didn't work out. Um, how has it been having a co-founder since the start?
No, it's been great, and fortunately, he used to work for me, in my consulting company. So he was an employee. He was a VP of technology. And then when I started Easylytics, I decided to make him a co-founder. So I knew him, and he knew my style of working and everything. So we knew each other long before we made it a co-founder. But I've had different experience also when you start a business with friends. It's completely different. So we had to actually shut down a couple of businesses that I started with friends, because after a while it just gets too uncomfortable. So I rather get rid of the business and keep the friendship. So
Yeah, I've always had this rule of not really working with friends and family almost at all. Actually, I did start a business with my father, and that did not go very well. So I did make that mistake, but I've just kind of had this, I've seen some people do it successfully, but I feel like I've heard enough war stories where it's almost not worth the risk. So I
yeah,
haven't gone that
yeah.
route.
I mean, it's my family business is textiles,
Mm.
and I didn't want to join the family business, so that's why I decided to go get a degree in computer science and do something totally different. So nobody forces me to go into the family business.
Yeah. Well, with law KPIs, at what stage do you think it makes sense for an attorney to consider your product? I mean, is it a solopreneur, just a single sole practitioner, 2 to 4 attorneys, 10, the entire range, or who's it just best for?
I think it's best for anybody who wants to grow, right? So if you have a growth mindset, it's important for you need to know where your growth lies, right? So we have firms, we have solo entrepreneurs too. We have firms with about 50 attorneys using our solution. And so if it's a solo entrepreneur, obviously they're only looking at their utilization and stuff like that. So the information that they would look at is a little different. But again, if they have a growth mindset that, okay, you know what, I'm going to grow, I'm going to add a couple of associates, or I'm going to add additional paralegals, that is where, it's important to understand your data. But if we have turned down few law firms, they were like in the last few years, they said that we're not looking to grow, we don't do any marketing. So those firms are not a great fit for us. uh, but besides that, anybody who's looking to make better decisions and support the decisions with data can leverage log APIs. And not just log APIs, like any solution that offers them a good analytic solution.
Yeah, we run across that as well, just through either our outreach or even some of our marketing, where firms have a lot of inbound leads. They've been around for a long time. They have enough business where they're not looking to add more attorneys, and so with them from a marketing perspective, it's like there's not really it doesn't make sense for them. And I
Right,
can see from a KPI perspective, if they're have more money in the bank account at the end of the month than they did at the beginning, and they have
yeah,
a lot of referrals, it's probably not incredibly top of mind for them to be looking at KPIs all the time.
right. So, Adam, what is the ideal client for you guys?
Yeah, for us, an ideal client is typically a firm that has at least 3, maybe 4 attorneys, that also has a growth mindset. And we do pay-per-click advertising, so we do Facebook or Google ads. Primarily, we also do YouTube. And the way I kind of describe it is we have our advertising is sort of the most difficult because you have the most cold traffic. They don't know the firms. It's kind of the hardest to close. So I say when you want to grow faster than your referrals allow or than your organic allows, that's when you start bringing in pay-per-click.
Hmm.
So a lot of people get referrals already, but if they're wanting to grow faster than that referral network or faster than the radio or faster than some other types of advertising, we can bring in a lot of leads really quickly, but it requires a completely different infrastructure as far as having 24/7 call coverage, having an intake team of some sort, and then also having the ability to grow and take in more of that, more of those leads. Because in many cases, if you're not used to bringing a lot of leads and closing them, and then you start getting a lot of leads, it's sort of hard to deal with and manage.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So I would guess it's probably a little bit similar to the types of firms that you're working with.
Yes, but I think a lot of times we see that the firms, they have a marketing company or a marketing consultant who's doing a lot of things. He's doing the SEO for them. He's trying to build content for the website. And I don't know if they are specialized in pay-per-click, because they try to do too many things using one consultant, and I'm not sure. Sometimes I feel that they're not getting the best value. Uh, so I encourage them, right? I'm always a big fan of going to specialists, right? Even if you have to work with like 10 different people, that's fine, but go to a specialist who can do that job better for you. So.
I feel really passionately about this conversation. I did an entire webinar on this for 45 minutes, and what you described is, a full service agency. A lot of times, full service agencies might be 10 or 15 people, and they might offer 10 services. Well, the math is not that complicated. If you offer 10 services and you have 15 people, you have a couple people in leadership, you have about 1 or 2 people per service that you're offering. So A, that doesn't provide a lot of expertise. And B, if that person leaves, they have to backfill it somehow. And usually it's not with someone very experienced. And so it kind of dilutes all the offerings. If you get to a firm that's a marketing agency that's maybe 50 people and they're offering 5 to 10 services, that might be okay. But most marketing agencies are not 50 people. So I believe passionately in specialization. That's why we only do lead generation. I don't touch SEO with a 10-foot pole, and website development. We used to do website development. We started in website development, and then we shifted to advertising. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's special. I would rather work with a ton of providers that are very good at what they do than one provider that's
right.
Yeah,
makes total sense. Yeah.
Just a last question as we start to kind of wrap up here. Talk to me about the future of your industry, and I mean, I have some opinions on sort of different systems and how they're integrated and what kind of like market that generates or creates. But do you have any thoughts on the future of your industry and if anything's going to change or how analytics kind of play in?
I think analytics or it's going to be a big part of it, right? Because the more and more every time I see the like new solutions and new products that are coming up in the market, right? And they all solve a specific problem. So like LawPay solves a payment problem, right? So they all solve very specific problem, and they're very good at what they do, right? But it's end of the day, as a firm, I want to make sure that all my systems, they talk to each other. And the information that I get is like a holistic view of my system. I don't have to go to multiple systems, extract information, download it into spreadsheets and create models. That's waste of time. And so it is extremely important that every law firm, right, any service industry, right, they take advantage of all the automations that's available. And sometimes people get lost with with so many different choices, so many different subscriptions. They have signed up for certain subscriptions and they don't even use it, right? So it's very important for them to make sure that they take advantage of the automation. And if you subscribe something, use it.
Yeah, there's massive advantages obviously to these new platforms and new technologies and new features that are being rolled out. But the reality is none of them, like you were saying, solve all the problems. So then that creates this entire gap in between all these disparate systems that needs to either talk to each other or create a dashboard like you're describing. And I'll say for us, one of the things that we spend the most time on is gathering metrics and analytics between the different platforms. Even though Google's becoming more automated, you still need to analyze and look at the data and compare them cross-platform and things like that. So while automation is coming, nobody's covering everything, and so there's all these gaps that need to be filled.
And also, I'm a big fan of identifying outliers. So I don't want our users to constantly keep looking at the reports and figuring out what to do, right? So what we do is we have a broadcast feature in our solution, and in the broadcast feature, you can actually create specific alerts. So for example, if I'm looking at a collections report, and if my collections go down, let's say $100,000 a month, I can set it up saying that if my collection goes down less than 100,000 a month, then send me that report. So I only get report where I need to take some action. If I don't get a report, it means everything is going well. So I'm not bombarded with reports. So we want them to take in automation, just take one more step further and identify such rules based on your business processes that is going to help you manage and run your practice more efficiently.
Yeah, that's a great idea. The notifications are another thing that just all these platforms have so many emails. You're gonna get into Slack. I mean, whatever you do, there's just so many um, points of communication. And so
Right.
I like the fact that it's trigger based, like based on certain events happening, that you get the information. Yeah. Well, Sachin, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciated talking to you. When people want to learn more about your business and maybe even connect with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you in the business?
Well, they can actually, the best way is go to our website lawkpis.com and schedule a demo. And I strongly believe in try before they buy, so we can give them an option to give a demo and a trial account where they can play with it, so they really get the feel of the power of our solution. So our using our website is the best option.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Sachin. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And be sure to check out the next episode.
Right. Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you.